Hello, everybody. Coming straight at you from Chicago, it's John. Good to see you. 皆さん、こんにちは。日本語がペラペラですよ。ハゲてるけど、お箸を持ってます。どこか。見てくれてありがとうございます。今日は猫を作ります。Today, we are going to be making a really cool cat. So I'm very, very excited for this one. As you can see, it's very, very cute. I'm a big fan of it. This is a little bit large, but I think it's a good size for us to fold with today. This was created with 15 centimeter kami. So you can go smaller. And in fact, if you want to put this as kind of like an ornamental, piece that you can put on your desk somewhere, it does stand up. It stands up pretty well. It's a good model, I think, to make smaller. If I were to do it again, I would make this a little bit smaller. But I'm a fan of this cat. I think it's a pretty cool looking cat, and it's very cute. You can embellish the tail. You can embellish the ears. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with this cat. So mine is struggling a little bit with standing up, but believe me, I had this standing up very, very well previously. So there really is no issue with it standing. Just takes a little bit of time kind of bending the paper out to get it to stand. There we go. So, and you can put some weight on there. Maybe I'll show you later how to do that. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to use 15 centimeter paper. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up the diagrams here for this cat. And by the way, the cat is 2 pieces of paper. So the head comes off, and at the very end we can glue it on if you're okay with that. Otherwise, no glue is necessary for this model. As always with origami, no glue, no scissors. At least that's one of the rules I adhere to. But it depends on whoever's doing the work, obviously, and there's many interpretations of origami. So I am not opposed to using glue, and I'm also not opposed to using scissors. It depends on what you're making. So this is a cat, and we're going to go ahead and select our color. So for me, I'm going to pick, let's pick a color here. Blue, you know what, I'm going to go with a little bit of a darker color. I'm going to select, let's do this kind of aqua green color here today. Got too many of those sheets in this pack. Good to use them up here. So the diagrams are here on the left, as you can see right here, and this is a small little orange cat, and this is for intermediate. We are live every Tuesday and Saturday at 5 p.m. for intermediate folders. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. Thanks, guys, for joining. If there are any questions, let me know in the comments, and I will do my best to address them. Just keep a tab on that. Oh, hey, Paul. Hey, thanks for joining. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This is a fun one. So the first step, you're going to fold this in half lengthwise. Now, it's a good idea to always look at this and take a look to see what color is needed. Do we do this with the white side up or the color side up? And to do that, sometimes it helps to kind of just zoom ahead in the drawings a little bit just to confirm. And as you can see, everything here is in black and white. So we have to kind of figure it out. Now, if I recall correctly, and we can adjust this as we go here, but I believe, let me just take a quick look here. Turning that over. Okay, so yes, we're going to start with the white side up, okay? So start with the white side facing up, and we're going to work on the first part of this cat is the head. Okay, as you can see, the ears are getting formed there, okay? So start with your paper white side up, and we're going to fold it in half, okay? Get that paper going in half. that way, and unfold, and then fold in half the other way. All right. And once you get those creases made, we're going to turn the paper over. Okay, so turn the paper over. And next what we're going to do is create creases going on the diagonals. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do this. Now, for complex origami, which we'll be getting to most likely in July or August, maybe toward the end of July, complex origami is very time consuming, first of all. Second of all, the number of live viewers drops off dramatically, I feel, as the complexity goes up. Because there's a lot of precision involved, and there's a lot of patience, I think, involved as well with origami. So a lot of people end up, not wanting to be there for those, except for the diehards. So for any diehard origami enthusiasts that are here folding with me, thank you so much. It will get more interesting. But these are intermediate models for now, and I think it's a good pace, a good level for the general folder. But I'm kind of folding without explaining what I'm doing, and I'm kind of expecting that people are going to know how to fold. So 皆さん、もし折り紙あまりやっていなかったら、テクニックがあります。私頑張って説明したいけど、時々難しいです。だから頑張ります。So I'm going to try my best, everybody, to teach as good as I can. When you're creating these folds, it's very easy to see what's happening here. However, getting it to happen takes some precision and some patience. So make sure that you line up the corner. And what I always do is I hold it so that this is facing up, away from me. And then when I always fold away from me. That helps. And then when you got to put your head kind of right above it. Take a look that there's no green showing. So you don't want to have like this. That would not be perfect. So you want to have it as square as you can. Put your finger down. Come down to the middle over here, and make sure you use some pressure, some force, and fold it across. Okay? All right. So now that you've done that, we're going to turn it over again. Okay? So now if you push down in the middle, this is a cool part. Watch this. If you push down in the middle, it's going to pop up. Okay? Now when it pops up, it immediately wants to take shape. And this is, I believe, what's called a preliminary fold. I'm a bit rusty on the names of all these origami bases, but I do believe this is a preliminary fold, which gets used to create a bird base for the crane and many, many, many other models. So your paper should now look like this, okay? Should come together, and we have our preliminary base, all right? So now, as you can see, something's happening here, okay? So some paper is kind of coming up and out the sides, and there's like some dots in the middle. So what does that mean? Well, it helps always to look ahead at the next step to find out. So let's go ahead and take a look. Aha, so the ears are coming out of the model on this one. So we can kind of do this to taste, but these lines give a reference for where these reverse folds are taking place throughout the layers. So we will kind of take a mental note and then look at that after we complete the reverse fold. So how do you do a reverse fold? A reverse fold, if you take a look at your paper on the inside, you've got this layer, this little flap here, okay? A reverse fold is changing the direction of this right here, especially on the tip, okay? So right now, if you look at it, it's kind of a valley fold, and if you reverse fold it, it becomes a mountain fold. So you're changing the direction. So one thing to do is just kind of take that and change the direction right now. Just change it and kind of push it back in, but don't fold it down. That's essentially what you're doing, but now when your paper's going to come up like this, so you can kind of put your finger in like this and pull it up. And then it'll flatten down, and you can see that becomes the ear now. Okay, so now if I hold it down, we can, before you flatten it down, because we don't know exactly how high, because you could go way up here and have like a really huge ear, or you could come down and have a really, really tiny ear like this. So you want a kind of a medium-sized ear. So to figure out kind of what that's going to look like, let me go forward. You can see here that's a little bit too small and it's way over to the right. So I'm just going to kind of, you can roll it up and kind of position it to where you want. Get it somewhere kind of in the middle. And this, let's take a look here at where this ends. So when you flatten it down, how far approximately is it from this corner? So if we go back, that's where those lines come in handy. As you can see, that line is really close up there. So if we bring it down a little bit, look at the ear, it shifts all the way that way. So we kind of have to find a happy balance. So I'm going to come down a little bit more. And when I come down, now the ear sticks up a little bit more. Okay? So I found kind of generally a good spot for mine. So it's approximately there on the paper, which is kind of similar to what it shows. Mine might be a little bit further down. But I'm going to pull it up just a little bit actually, because you want these ears to be a little bit big, because what's going to happen is you are going to kind of create a 3D shape on the ears. Okay, so kind of get that in a spot that you think is going to look nice. And it's, not necessarily, I don't know, the diagrams show it in the middle, but it's actually kind of more offset to the right, is the way I interpreted it. So go ahead and press it down, okay? Now take a look. You can see that showing up behind. And if I take a look, you can see that there's it's a tapered angle. It's creating like a parallelogram, or a trapezoid. So that angle is narrowing by a little bit. So these aren't quite parallel. So let's take a look back here. So it matches, okay? So now all I need to do is just do the same thing on the other side and kind of match it up. So I'm going to do my best to kind of eyeball it. What you can do is also look on the inside and say, hey, well, that one went up to there. I will go to that same spot. That really helps for the pivot point. You can kind of open it up a little bit, right? And pinch it at the same exact spot as the other one. And then you've got it started, the pivot point for that second ear. So now I can, with pinching it here, I can kind of maneuver that ear up so it now looks in identical as a mirror image on the left side. Okay, so make it look very cat-like. All you cat lovers out there, get that fold in there just as you'd like your own cat to have its ears. Okay, so now mine looks like this. Hope everybody's looks similar. And now you can see in this next step, what's happening here is some layers being moved over to the left, but we don't really know the details until you look at the next diagram. And that's one thing I really like about origami. It's kind of a puzzle, and kind of figuring out that puzzle that makes it fun for me. So let's go to the next diagram and take a look. Aha! So it is just kind of opening it up, and then after it opens up, you can see it's doing some extra fold on the inside. So let's do that. Let's open it up and just take a look before we do anything to try to figure out what's going on here. Okay, so there's that little distance from the corner that we took note of previously, and this doesn't necessarily show that, but it's showing that something is going up. So we still don't know exactly. We don't know the full picture. So something like this is swiveling up, but we don't know the full picture until we go to the next one, until it lies flat again. Let's go to the next page, and it's still not lying flat. But take a look now. So that's an intermediate step. This is kind of an intermediate step, and what's happening is this is definitely getting folded up somehow. Okay, and if we take a look on, okay, so let me take a look at this one. Something else now is happening with the ear on the top side. So this ear is coming over as well at the same time. Okay? And then if you look at this arrow, there's no explanation here, but this is getting, you can see this little arrow coming over like this, and then it kind of goes behind. And it's very confusing to understand that. I do realize that, but eventually this it folds back over again. So as you can see, it's kind of creating the ear, These diagrams are a bit ghetto, guys. So, once the ear gets formed like that, it folds back over to the right. Okay, and then you repeat on the other side, and the repeat on the other side is showing this arrow here. Okay, so what does all this mean? Let's go through it here. So forget the diagrams because they're kind of crappy. What we're going to do is follow in the video. So let me zoom in. Well, I'll do my best to kind of match up with the diagrams as we go. So this is going to go up like this, and if you look on the next page, it's kind of creating like in thirds. Like you have a triangle shape here, triangle shape in the middle, and a triangle shape on the top. So you kind of open it up for a minute, and don't worry about it. Like these are going to retain their folds, so you can open it up all the way. It doesn't matter. But essentially, this piece over here is being folded, valley folded, so it looks like it's kind of like in thirds. And you can see that, confirm it here in this next diagram. It really is thirds. So let's take that paper and go ahead and make that happen. Okay. So just approximately, I'm looking at this and saying, okay, yeah, you know, that's about in thirds, right about there, and I'm making the crease. So there, I just did it, pushed it down. And I'm not going all the way, notice, because it's going to meet with this next fold that we're going to make. Okay, so we've just made that fold, kind of splitting it into thirds, and now we're going to unfold it and go back to our ear position. Find those existing creases again, come back here again, and we're going to open it up, and now we're going to implement that fold. And at the same time, now what's going to happen after we've folded that down, we're going to pinch up, and it's going to go inside of the ear. Just kind of get it. So the next thing is this valley fold, okay? Let me show you. So what we're making right here is this fold right here. Okay, so this is a valley fold. And if you notice, it's kind of taking place up in this section of the ear. So if we kind of pinch it like this and then fold it over, you'll notice it opens up. And this is creating a really kind of cute ear that's opening up, as you can see, right? So you get that started, and then as you're making that, get that other fold in place, and then they're just kind of meet down. So kind of pinch it down and get those to meet each other. Okay? And then kind of bring the ear back up and fold the whole thing back. Whoops, I'm going out of the camera. Sorry about that, guys. This is going over like this. You've just created the valley fold. Okay, you see how I've kind of folded this over, and then it's meeting with this other one. And my paper is kind of shifted a little bit, but that's only to keep the ear up. So this is all to taste in here. So it does not have to be perfect thirds. That was just to kind of get it started. And in reality, it probably makes sense to start with the ear and then start working on this piece over here. So we'll do that for the next ear. So this valley fold goes like this, opens up the ear, and then you're essentially just folding it flat. So you're holding this in and then folding the paper flat and now pushing it down. And then when you push it down, that kind of solidifies the folds in here while leaving the ear 3D. See the ear coming out. Okay, so now we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So what I'm going to do is open it up, and I'm going to start with the ear this time. And then this one over here can just fall into place however it needs to. So we'll open it up, get it to about the same distance as you had on the other one. And then this one, as you come down, this one's naturally going to kind of fold over like that. And it really doesn't matter. Kind of push your thumb in as far as it'll go, and then go ahead and flatten the paper down. Okay, and once you flatten the paper down, increase the folds inside. Okay, so now you can see we've got two cute little ears coming out. Okay. So hopefully that is straightforward enough for everybody. to create the ears. All right, so now that we've finished the ears, let's move on to creating part of the mouth. All right, so for creating the mouth, as you can see now, we have a valley fold that's going up, and if you look very closely, again, I'm not a big fan of these diagrams in particular, but the valley fold goes all the way over to the bottom part of this section here. So we can do that right now, just kind of get that started. Now, one indicator is that the middle line here has to line up with the middle here, okay? So you don't want to do it like this, for example. So keep that in line, and you can kind of roll it up and down a little bit and get it to match with those things on the left and right. Now, they may not be perfectly symmetrical, but just so they get covered. So get that valley fold in place, and then go ahead and crease it down. And so basically, you don't want it to be like this, because then you'd have some little tips showing down there. You see what I mean? You don't want to have that showing in the back. So keep it down all the way like this, okay? All right, so now we will move on to the next step, which is folding both pieces of paper. Actually, excuse me, just one piece. That's why it always helps to look ahead. One piece of paper down. And now, how far down? Helps to look at the next step. Okay, it does not go all the way down to the bottom. So you're coming down to about here, let's just say. Okay, as you can see, creating the nose. It's a cute nose. I like it. I like this model. And keep that in the center again. Keep that line in the center and fold that down. Now, a lot of these simpler models, and you know, this, even though this is an intermediate model, I'd say it's on the lower side of intermediate. A lot of these models, there's a lot of steps that are kind of left for interpretation. So, you know, there's no precise position where this gets folded to. And for some people, that's a breath of fresh air. You know, I can be creative. I can do whatever I want. For other people that kind of want to follow by the rules and go line by line and get all the nitty-gritty details perfect, it can be, I don't know, it can be a little bit like, this is okay. It all depends on the person. But fold this down just like this, and now we're on the next step. The next step now is kind of rounding out the face. So to do that, what we're going to do is, you can see there's some valley folds here. So we're going to start with those. So hold on one second, everybody. Excuse me. When we did this, when we folded this side up, we actually needed to do both pieces of paper. So let's just fall back here for a quick sec and just get that other one to go up as well. Okay, so it should have been both layers. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, and if you go back, you can see it's both. So this paper should go up with that one. So it's two pieces coming up. Okay, that's easy because you've already done the front one, so you can just fold the other one back up to match it. Okay, and now when you fold this down, you already have a line to reference to go down to where you had before. Okay, so everybody should hopefully look like this. Now what we're going to do is start finishing the face. So let's focus on this area, and then we'll go out to the sides. So let's take a look to the next step to see what's happening here, and figure out kind of what are we creating here right now. So what we're creating is part of the nose. So what's kind of cool about this model is that it's got a little color change on the nose. So we're right here. Let's do the nose part first. We'll fold it down just a little bit. So again, it's to taste. If you take a look at the next step, it's not quite halfway. So mine may have gone a little bit far, but again, everything's to taste on this model. And then these side ones here are going to create the eyes. Okay. So what we're going to do is, if you take a look, let me zoom in here. If you take a look, these valley folds go all the way to the center line. Okay, so when we fold this down, make sure that one of the points comes right here to the center. Okay, and this you don't want to have it like too big. It doesn't roll all the way down there. Keep it so it's symmetrical. So kind of eyeball it. Eyeball. We're creating the eyes. Get it to look, you know, I don't know how to describe. Just fold it down like this, and then crease it all the way. And then do the exact same thing on the other side. You'll see what we're doing here in a second. Fold it down on the other side as well, just like that, okay? And then what's going to happen is this top piece is going to come down like this, and now you can see the pretty eyes. These are creating the eyes and the nose. Now, how does that look? Are the eyes too big? If you think they're too big, you can bring this back up again and make this smaller. I think mine are a little bit too big. I'm going to make mine just a tiny bit smaller. So to do that, I'm just shortening this up a little bit. Just making these triangles here a little bit smaller. And now when I fold it back down again, my eyes are just a little bit smaller. Okay, I think that's kind of a cute look. Take a look at my cat face from before. Okay. So you can play with that. You can definitely play around with that until you get it to look how you want it to look. And you can pull this down more if you want. That's going to make the nose smaller and make the eyes smaller. And if you want to make the nose bigger, you can just fold that up. So I'm gonna make my eyes even a little bit smaller. So this is to taste. Now you have some white showing here, and that's actually going to show through in the final design. So if you don't like that white, what you can do is open this layer back up again and take this and just kind of really bring it up as much as you can. And you can kind of twist on the bottom a little bit to kind of get that to come down. And when you do that, you kind of have to, you're folding into this bottom one a little bit. And so that's probably the best way to handle this. Another way is you can kind of roll this down into there and hide it, but probably the best way is just to go straight up and overlap it a little bit, and then use your nail and go across on both sides to then create that new memory, the new fold memory, and then fold this down, and now you can see my white is completely gone. Okay, so that's a little trick you can do to kind of get rid of those white edges. Okay. So now that we've done this step, let's go ahead and move on to the sides of the head, which are just simply going behind. Whoops. So they're just simply going behind. So if we take a look at the next step, as you can see, they're going basically right up to where the ears are. And if we go back again, you can see it's going right down to the bottom where this line is coming down. So, and that actually lines up perfectly on mine. And it should be just a line going straight up. So just fold that paper behind on the right, and then fold the paper behind on the left. Okay, just like that. And next what we're going to do is, and you can see we kind of skipped ahead on the nose just so you could see how everything was coming together. Now on the sides, we're simply just folding these behind. Okay, so fold this behind like this, and fold this behind over here as well. And this is also just to taste, something like that. Okay, make it symmetrical if you can. My white is showing up again, but it's not that bad. It's hard to get that all. You could roll it up quite aggressively and really cover it up if you wanted to. But it all depends on whether that bothers you or not. So you fold behind. Now this is the cool part. So we're going to make the head 3D. Okay, so this is a similar technique to the ears, kind of in a way. And what we're going to do is basically create a mountain fold right here. So as you can see on the diagram, let me use my mouse here. As you can see right here, this section is a mountain fold. So we're going to go ahead and get that going first. Just kind of matching what they're showing. So fold that, and you can see it's kind of coming down to about there. Just kind of pinch it, just like that. Okay, just get it started, just like that. And then our valley fold is already there. And now you can see that the head's already, if you kind of pinch this and pull it, the head just kind of pops out to become 3D now. And then this comes behind. So now you can kind of, if you hold this over like this, hold it over to the left, and then pinch it right here. And you can see you're creating kind of like a triangular flap behind. Go over like this. Okay, so the key is to get that mountain fold in there first, and then leverage the already existing valley fold and then twist it. Okay, now shaping. So we're going to create a quick lock, but before we do that, I'm just going to kind of pinch a little bit. And don't pinch right here, because that'll kind of, you could, I mean, it'll flatten. Actually, I'll do it right now. It'll flatten the face a little bit. See what happens? It kind of gets a little dimple. So you may not prefer that, and if you do that, I mean, you can undo it. It's not a big deal. But just kind of round out the face, move it around. You're going to kind of shape. This is called what they call shaping in origami. So kind of round it out. And again, I'm still pinching it up on the top. That's kind of the final step to kind of lock it in place. And you could do that right now, but I'm going to round it out a little bit first. So now I'm holding it. Now let's take a look. So as you can see, that is going behind, which is what we did, but it's actually a mountain fold. Okay, so that's creating the lock. And I like to kind of so as you can see, it says turn over. And it's showing that the body now mates with the head, which is kind of confusing. I don't know why they have that extra step there. But anyway, the bottom piece is, I actually didn't do that on mine, but you can implement that if you want. And all that is just kind of pushing it in like this, and then your head further goes in. So I mean, that's kind of, I guess that makes it look more like a cat. But now let's look at this tab in the back. How do we create the lock? Okay, so there's a mountain fold, as you can see. So what we can do is at the very top, we're just going to fold this behind like this. I'm just kind of really, through brute force, just kind of pushing it behind. Nobody's going to see back here. So this is all free to just be sloppy. You know, it really doesn't matter back here. So I'm locking it down by mountain folding it behind. And then this little piece here, I can further lock it by kind of pushing it in, crumpling it, and then holding it in place. Okay? And again, because it's completely hidden, all this stuff is out of sight anyway. So you can crumple it and do whatever you want with that to kind of lock it in place. The alternative is you would use glue or a tape or whatever you want to hold it in place. But now we've got a really cute cat head. All right? I'm a fan of this cat. I think it looks very, very realistic. Okay, so that is the head. Now the body, you guys, everyone can feel rest assured, the body is much easier than the head. All right? So the head was a little bit tricky, I will admit, especially the diagrams. A lot of it's kind of to taste. So let's start with the body now. All right, so let's get our next piece of paper out. Ideally the same color, so our cat matches. I guess you could have, like here I've got a purple body and a green head, a mutant cat. But ideally you want to have the same color. All right, so now again, we have a challenge in front of us. Is this the white side up or is this the green side up? That is the question. So let me just fast forward. I should have prepared a little bit here for this. Okay, so bear with me, guys. Okay, it's the green side up. Okay, so hold the green side up. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a line in the middle as a reference. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that one started. So fold it directly in half on the diagonal. I wish I could have some music playing. That would be really cool. But if you do music, you get slammed with copyright issues. So that's out. I would love to be playing some music right now. Oh, hey, Paul. I'm glad you're still keeping up. Thanks so much for folding with me. And yeah, I agree. It's a good model. All right, so fold it on the diagonal, and then we're going to fold these into the center here. All right. And try to line it up all the way. And what you can do is look at a couple reference points, like up here and up and down here, and get those lined up, and then kind of gently go down. You can see, does it come to a point? You can also line it up at the bottom directly in a point, and then line up the rest up here. But just make sure the paper goes directly to the center line all throughout. And then usually it's better to kind of fold from the point up rather than go from up here down, because then what could happen is these are lined up, and then the corner suddenly is shifted way off. So now the next part is much easier, because now you've got a line to fold to, very visual, much easier to see. All right, so get that going here as well. This is a kite base, I believe. Pretty basic. Okay, and next what we're going to do is then fold these in half, going out to the edge. Let's go ahead and get that started over here on the left. Go all the way down, crease it all the way, and then go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I 私はもっと日本語を話したいけど頑張ります。あんまり何も言ってないね。Alright, so now that we have this in place, we're going to go ahead and make these folds here to the sides. So let's take a look at what's happening here. It doesn't show it here, but essentially this is creating the feet. So this actually doesn't have much impact on anything. So what we'll do is just fold it directly. So this is going, I was zooming ahead there for a moment just to see where this is showing up in the end, and it really doesn't. But this is going over direct. It's an angle bisector. So this edge here is going to line up with this edge here. It's going to pivot from the top. Go ahead and fold that down, and do the same thing on the other side, just like that. Okay, and then these are just going to go out like this. Okay, unfold. Now you've got a shape like this. Okay. Now what we're doing is taking the middle line, and we're going to do a mountain fold and fold it this way. So we previously had a valley fold, and we're just changing the direction on that, and we're rotating it like this. So everyone should hold their paper just like this. And now what we're going to do is start working on the tail. So there's a reference for a reverse fold. It's hard to determine just looking at the diagram, but that is a reverse fold. And the reference here again is very, very vague. There's no perfect way to do this. This is kind of to taste. But look at where it's landing here. And you can kind of use that as a little bit of a reference. So to do the reverse fold, you're gonna hold it in your left hand like this. Okay, everybody hold it like that. And you're gonna take your right finger and you're gonna put it inside of here, and your thumb is gonna come on this other side, on this side here. Okay, and now what you're gonna do is just pinch it and almost like flatten the paper. Okay, and you're gonna see that tip kind of roll in. Well, that's what you want to have happen. This is gonna roll in, and then it's gonna come inside like this and change direction. Okay, and then what's cool is that you can kind of push it in more and slide it in, and you got to find out where to go with it. And if I move mine around a little bit, I can kind of make mine match what you see in the diagram there. So right now, I may not have gone up high enough. As you can see, just visually, I'm not high up enough over here. So I'm going to go in a little bit more. Now take a look at it before I push it down all the way. Does that look more like the diagram? I would say so. I think that looks a little bit more like it. I might go just a little bit more. Something like that. And once you're happy with how that looks, and you're really looking, I may have gone too far now, but in fact I'm going to back it off a little bit. I think I did go a little bit too far. Just visually kind of match it up how you think it matches what you see there. And then once you're happy with it, go ahead and hold it down. Keep this crease, which is already there, keep that in place, and then go ahead and flatten the rest of the model. Flatten it so those folds now become permanent, just like so. Now, we're going to do a reverse fold back up again to create the tail. So, same thing. We're going to hold it like this with our left hand, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put our thumb inside this time, and we're going to pull up this way. As you can see, we're reversing the direction. And now, how far? That's the question. So let's just experiment. We'll start somewhere, and we'll fold it up all the way and just kind of take a look at how it looks. That looks pretty decent already. So this really, if we back up here, you can see kind of a reference to where this is going. And as you can see, it's going. This fold is going all the way down to the corner. So right now, I have these little overlaps like this. You do not want any like triangle to show up here, or no triangle at all down at the bottom. You want this to go all the way up, so the tail goes as far up as it possibly can. And you can kind of push your finger in here to get the paper to go the right way. Okay? And once you're happy with it going all the way, you'll get the tail to come all the way up. And there should be a little bit of a gap there at the top. Okay? And then if you're not happy with that gap, you can play around with it a little bit more. It all depends. So as it turns out, as you can see in this next step, this section here just gets hidden completely. So we actually are okay if we have a triangle. That's what I love sometimes about these models that have, up to interpretation. Depends on how you want to fold it. So I'm going to move mine down a little bit just to have a little bit of a gap. I think that looks cool. It kind of looks like the cat's back right here, right? And then a little bit of a gap before the tail comes out. I like that. And in fact, what we can do is go all the way back and you can see there in the final cat, there is a little bit of a gap with the tail. Okay, so let's go back and take a look at it. So this is showing going down in the corner where my mouse is located, but we're going to actually bring it over to the right a little bit. Just that, and what that does, that shifts it. So now we do have a small triangle in there, and it just gives a little bit. It brings the tail over to the left a little bit. Okay, so once you get that, go ahead and press it down. And now, as you can see in this step, we're thinning the tail. So these are mountain folds, and you're just simply taking it, and you already have this fold in the back, that paper there. You can leverage that same exact, it's going to be easy because there's already some paper there. So you can kind of find that naturally by folding it back. Now you can see that the tail's been thinned out. Fold it down all the way. Okay? Go ahead to the next step. All right, now we're going to create the legs. All right, and we're almost done, guys. So to create the legs, as you can see, there's a valley fold here, but it's not parallel to this edge. It's a little bit offset to the left, so it widens up at the top. So we're going to just take a look at it and just kind of, what you can do is kind of put your fingers here. So you can see how my fingers are lining up with where this line is going to go. It's not going to be like this. That would be parallel. But you want to have it more kind of like this. So I'm putting my fingers in place, and then I'm gonna fold over, and then that kind of creates a reference. And you can see mine is almost too parallel, so I'm gonna bring it over a little bit more, just shift my fingers a little bit. And if I get that first fold started in kind of a direction that I like, then I can remove my fingers and finish the rest of it. So now, as you can see, it's opening up, and you've got some legs here, and now you've got some giant opening here. Well, this is not going to lie flat yet. So you're going to go up all the way, and it's going to come like this, and then you're going to see there's like a pocket up there. Okay? So let's take a look at the next step. What do we do with that pocket? It's coming down. Okay? So it's coming down like this, and we're going to line it up in the center and crease it across. That's called a squash fold. Okay? And now you can see the next step is the paper is going up, and it's going from this corner here to this corner over here. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Valley fold. You don't want to go too far because you'll tear the paper in the corners. But you want to go right to those right to the points, corners. Okay? Fold it up like that. And the final steps here. We're going to thin the neck. So to do that, we're just going to simply mountain fold these behind. As you can see, pinch it behind like this. And do the same thing. This flap opens up here, and you're going to fold it behind, matching the other side. Just like that. So they're symmetrical. Okay, and then on the tail, we're just going to do a little outside reverse fold. So a little pinch, you kind of pull it over, and this is to taste, but you can just kind of, what you really want to do is fold it over, open it up, flatten it, and change the direction. You're going to see a little bit of white shows up. So that's fine. It's not a big problem if that happens. In fact, it's what you can do to avoid that is come back to here and fold these, instead of folding on that line that we already had, fold it all the way to the middle. In fact, I'm going to do that. Then I've got a green tail all the way. So again, that's all to taste. So if you don't mind a little white strip on the tail, keep it. But I'm going to fold mine all the way into the middle so that I have a perfectly green tail. So that what that did is that actually brought this all further in, almost too far in, but I think we can make do. And now when I fold the tail out like this and do that outside reverse fold, it's a very pretty. It's all green in there, as you can see, just by making that small adjustment. Okay, so as you can see, it's got a nice curly tail. And then last but not least, we're going to create the hind legs, and this is done over a simple crimped fold. And as you can see, my front legs are pretty fat. I can take the head, bring it in, and you can see my front legs are really fat. You may like that. I'm not a huge fan, so I'm just going to back that off a little bit. It's really easy to make a correction. Just undo what you did already. So take that out, bring this over like this, and I'm just going to make my feet a little bit smaller, so it's not going to be as far. Kind of like that. In fact, I might want to go even smaller. Yeah, something like that. And then come up all the way. Get the legs to kind of tail out. So this is what I like about this model, is it's really up to your interpretation. It depends on your style again. Some people like to follow the rules. Other people are like, yeah, I'll do it to taste. So now fold that down again. Fold this up. We're just redoing what we did, but they're completely different spots. And fold this behind. And fold this one behind. I don't know about you guys, but it is hot here in Chicago today. I should have a window open. So there we go. So we've got that portion now created. Now if I move this in place, looks a little bit more petite, I guess, if you will. I like those legs a little bit better. The head I wish could come down further. You can play around with that a little bit later. But now let's get the hind legs in place. So this is a repeat behind procedure, but essentially what you're doing is a mountain fold that you can see on the left. So I'm going to hold it like this, and I'm just going to push it back, and it's going to go, as you can see, the mountain fold is perpendicular with the bottom. So I'm going to fold it like this, get that started, and then pinch it in place. Okay, so there I've got it started. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side to match. So get that lined up approximately. It doesn't need to be perfect. Sometimes what you can do is if you folded that one already, you can use that as a reference and fold the whole thing across. That sometimes helps. In fact, let's do that. Use that one that you just kind of created as a reference and fold the whole thing across and make a crease. Now you can see that line is matching on both sides. And then what you have to do is just change the direction on the front layer. So you change the direction here so it becomes a mountain fold. That's a mountain fold, and now as you can see here, it's coming in like this. Okay? I hope that makes sense to everybody. And then the next thing is a valley fold. So to do this, it's creating, this is a pivot point here. And what's happening is you're leveraging that to kind of pop out the body. So you can see there's a lot of those in this model, which I think is great. It makes this cat 3D. So I'm keeping that pivot point there, and I'm creating it's going in, and now the whole body is becoming three-dimensional. So as I push that in, as you can see, it kind of wants to bow out. And you can kind of put your finger on the inside of the model, kind of get that shape to go. Okay, so you see that? It kind of creates a nice little effect with the back legs, right? And if I zoom out, if I go forward here, as you can see in the final model, it does have a very big back leg. So you could do that to taste and make a small leg. It all depends. But there, as you can see, is the final result. And it's all, again, to taste. So mine is going kind of to the right, whereas that one's kind of more flat. So it all depends on your taste. But that actually does not match the diagrams. So this line here, instead of being perpendicular, would have had to been angled, and the other one would have had to been more perpendicular. But oh well. So let's go ahead and do that same thing on the other side to match. Kind of push it out, and again, it's kind of bowing out. Just like that. And if you look on the bottom there, they should be symmetrical. And it's not going to lie flat here. And then that completes the legs. And then actually, I take that back. Got one other step here. So now it's locking these legs in place by folding these behind. It's kind of rounding out the corners. So you see there's a corner here. We'll do that one first. Actually, let me take that back. We'll do the hard one first. So the one in the middle here, when this is folded over like this to kind of bow out, if you pinch it in place, what we're going to do is create a little lock for that. So there's a little triangle here. What we're going to do is just take that and fold it back behind the model, and it doesn't need to go all the way. I mean, all the way to the right to this edge here, but fold it behind. Okay, and if you fold it behind, what you're going to notice now is that that kind of locks the paper in place. It's kind of a creative little lock. So do the same thing on the other side. Pinch that in place, find that little triangle, and go ahead and grab as much of it as you can, and then push it behind. It's going to lock the paper in place. Okay? And then lastly is this little mountain fold behind on the bottom back leg. So we'll just do that right now on both sides. So as you can see, those just kind of go mountain fold inside. Okay, and I got some little weird thing going on in here, but that was because I went back and did the tail. Okay, so that now, if you push your finger in, let me zoom out here. That now, if you take a look at it, completes the body, and it's 3D. So we'll kind of push it open a little bit, and you can kind of flatten this out here. In fact, it might make sense to create a little lock in here. I think that's actually a great idea. I'm going to come in here and kind of mountain fold this behind, kind of create a lock in the back for the tail, and then that really solidifies the 3D shape of the body so that it'll stand up like that. Okay, so now the last step is the best step. This is completing our cat. So we will go ahead, and the way this works is if we turn it around, this is going to go right up into here, and you have to kind of tuck this little thing kind of tucks behind that crumpled up paper. If you left it uncrumpled, which would leave less of a lock on the head, it would be easier to kind of tuck it into place. But the idea is you want to just kind of hang the head on that little lock, on that little piece of paper in there. And when it's sitting up, let me go ahead and put the paper down. I'll show you how mine turned out. Hopefully everybody's looks similar to this. As you can see, I've got my cat just sitting there. Kind of cool, right? So a smaller piece of paper is sometimes nicer, I think. A little bit, maybe you see some glare, but I think you guys get the idea there. Let's see if I might be able to zoom out a little bit more. Nope. So that is the completed cat. Let me bring the cat back, and the head, because the head can fall off so easily, it might make sense to get some glue, or what you could do is use some tape on the inside to kind of hold the head in place. But I think it's a cool looking cat. You should need some cat sound effects now. Should find them. I hope everybody was able to follow along. Oh, Paul, I'm so glad you got it. Yay. You know, most of the people that watch these videos, they watch them after the live recording, is what I've found. There's very few people that are around when I do these live, but I appreciate it, Paul, for joining. So that completes today's model of the cat. We will be live again on Saturday, this coming Saturday at 5 p.m. That is Saturday the 27th. 皆さん、今週末の土曜日午後5時からまたライブ折り紙をします。もし時間があればぜひ見てください。見たら嬉しくなる。信じられない。なんか 12年間12年間ぶりです。日本に住んだこと。本当に久しぶり。だから私の日本語だんだん下手になった。I've lost my Japanese, guys. It's still okay, but it's not nearly what it used to be. I still try my best. Let me just put it this way. I'm not really studying very much Japanese. 最近全然日本語を勉強してません。日本語の先生がいないから。私の奥さん日本人ですけど、日本語全然教えてくれない。So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I hope this was fun, and we'll see you again on Saturday. Bye bye. See you.